those sort of safe spaces, and do we need them, and how do we create them.
Where's
And
video on
it's going to
this?
be really informal, mostly because structure like is behind it.
Oh, is it on? Is it on?
Yeah, it is. See,
Can I
it's
go
recording.
ahead and
Yeah.
introduce themselves? Start right here.
Hi, should I? Okay. Hi, my name is Isabel. I'm also a contributor in the Geek Initiative, and I'm here to talk about some communities of color and the way, that's affected me. Move on. I'm nervous. I'm scared of all of you.
Hello, my name is Jill Roby. I'm also a contributor for the Geek Initiative, and I'm an indie author, and a freelance writer, and I'm from Chicago. Probably some other stuff too, but that's all I have right now.
Hi, I'm Corey Diaz-Seminara. I have also worked with the Geek Initiative, in case you didn't notice a trend. And I'm from New Jersey, the home of Lark.
It really is, though. That's a true statement. We have so many LARPs, like, per square mile. It's ridiculous.
What am I doing this weekend? Probably LARPing.
Probably LARPing. Hi, everyone. My name is Nana Walls. I am a contributor to Geek Initiative, which means I have Facebook privileges that you guys don't. I'm a LARPer, a cosplayer, freelance artist, writer, black magic girl person. Yeah, that was a good introduction.
All right, can we get a quick round of applause for our panelists? Okay, so first off, what we're going to talk about is what is a safe space. You hear this term a lot, like let's be a safe space for everyone. And I know personally, to me, it's a place where I can express my opinion, and my idea might be disregarded or said, not disregarded, but debated, but I personally won't be attacked because of the fact that I'm a lady, or the fact that, I'm brown under all this purple, or anything like that. To me, that's what a safe space is, where you're allowed to express your ideas, and while your ideas might be debated, your right to be in the group won't. So do any of you have any other connotations for what a safe space is, or what you think it is?
The definition that I think we come across most is the idea of tone policing not being there. So sometimes you have an issue where you want to talk about it, and sometimes you can want to get angry, and you want to point fingers, you want to say names, and a lot of moderators or a lot of people will say, no, you can't say that here, and that creates an issue with safe space. One could argue that a safe place doesn't necessarily have those tone policing things, but then again, it's up to someone's personal interpretation.
And as far as I've experienced, safe spaces also include a group of people who can understand where you're coming from because they too have experienced similar things, because they come from similar backgrounds from you, whether it's heritage-wise or it's to do with where you fall in the LGBT spectrum or your gender. Safe spaces usually include a lot of people who can understand what you're talking about because they've been there too. Whereas usually when you're in just the general populace, it's kind of hard to find those people.
Yep.
Do you agree? Yeah, on your face.
I tend to do that sometimes, people tell me. I was never 100% familiar with safe spaces. I probably the only person on the panel, I'm assuming the person on the panel was probably a bit in disagreement with that. I think it's important to find alliances. I think it's important to have representation with the general population. So for me, I feel like it's in its own way a self-imposed segregation. So for me, I would actually be mostly, I guess, I know there are certain circumstances where it would be more applicable, but for me personally, as a black woman, I would not want to remove myself from the general population because I feel like I have things that they need to hear, and if they say something ignorant, I'm there to shut it down. You will be dragged.
Oh, yeah.
I'm too, I'm kind of on the moderate scale when it comes to the idea of a safe space. I don't like the idea of no one, I feel like, let me get my words together before I start.
Collect yourself. There we go.
Okay. So I don't like the idea there tends to be a connotation of safe space as in, if you disagree with me, then you're attacking me, which is dumb because if I only heard my own opinion back to myself, I could just talk to myself all day long and just be fine and dandy. But when I interact with people, I want to hear their experiences. I want to understand where they're coming from. And part of that is dealing with people who are different from me, from their gender, their sexuality, their ethnicity, whatever, different socioeconomic status. And I think, you know, the idea of a safe space where everyone is involved and not particularly a certain group is helpful. But I kind of agree with Jill that the idea of like a safe space being mostly representative of people who look like you doesn't really help necessarily. I mean, it's good for support sometimes, but you know. Looking down the list. Okay, so what are some? I want to ask some of our panelists. Like, what are your experiences? I don't know if you all know this, but we all are ladies up here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're all ladies.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
But we all are, and we're all pretty geeky. We're at Comic-Con. I'm purple. There's extra eyes on my head. There's
Happens.
I'm
like this.
And so we're all geeky. I know I've been. The first show I remember watching, I was 3, and I was watching Star Trek. Make it so. So I've been geeky since the beginning. Of how I learned to read was comic books because there were cool pictures and then they had words in them, and I wanted to know the story. So I've been raised very much as a geek and a nerd. So my experiences in geek culture, usually before this whole surge of Marvel and DC movies made it really cool to be a geek, was that I was constantly having to prove that no, I know what I'm talking about. Me being a lady has no bearing on like my involvement or my engagement with material I'm talking about. Like, just because I don't happen to be a dude doesn't mean that I don't know that Picard is the best captain there ever was. Okay,
Yeah.
you can't get out.
Yeah.
Support.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
You said at 3 you were saying make it so. You make me feel really old. I gotta say. I'm proud that Kirk exists.
Kirk is real. We'll get into that question. You know, I'm just gonna say, like, but as far as like, I enjoy the idea of there being a place where people are encouraged to be welcoming and accepting, and that's what I enjoy about the concept of creating safe space, or especially for communities of color, where people are welcoming to those people who are from those communities and stuff. So I enjoy the idea that I don't have to prove to everyone that I'm geek, that I enjoy the same material. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like I want to hear about some of your experiences about, you know, being a cool lady geek person.
Are you talking?
I'm talking to all y'all.
She started with me?
Yeah.
That's fair, I guess. So my experiences with being a person of color in the geek community vary a lot. When I was younger, I was too white for black folks, too black for white folks. There we go, you understand my pain. Nana, you can't do this, that's a white thing to do. Nana, you shouldn't do that, that's too black. It's like a weird mix-up of where do you belong? Where do you fit in? Being with Vanessa, this is my best friend of several years, has helped. Did she beam just a little bit? I wasn't looking. My best friend of several years has been very helpful to see another person who identifies as a woman and is my skin tone at all whatsoever in this geek community with LARPers that are primarily white dudes. Let's be real, that's the normal demographic, is usually white dudes. It's really refreshing to go to a LARP that you've never been to before, and you just see that brown kid from across the way, and you lock eyes, and you're like, ooh, buddy, I feel you. I feel you on a primal level. So, like I said, my experiences have varied. I've experienced racism in LARP and cosplay, but I've also experienced amazing support and a really good structure for family and networks at LARP and cosplay as well. So they run the gamut.
Is everyone here familiar with what LARP is?
Oh yeah, we just ran.
Live action role play.
No idea.
Live action role play.
You in the back, you know what LARP is? Okay.
Just making sure we're all on the same page.
Quiet nod. Don't feel bad about asking though.
Yeah.
Like,
Anyone else want to share?
well, I mean, I've always grown up being involved in communities that have to do with my heritage. I'm Filipino American. I know I don't look it, but and I always would find I actually didn't get involved in geek communities until a lot later on. I was more involved in communities of my heritage, and it was me finding people who were geeky in those communities and forming our own little like, oh, awesome, cool, we can talk about stuff that we think are cool, and we can talk about it in like ways that affect us, and that's so cool. Hey, did you see that thing that reminded you of that time that Tito Rick did the stupid thing?
Oh,
yeah, I remember Tito Rick, yeah.
Tito Rick's so
Yeah.
crazy.
He's dumb. But like, it was just really cool to find also when I went to the geek community that there were a lot of people, like there were a lot of people who were banding together who had similar heritages and had similar experiences to me growing up. Because I always felt like wherever I went, I was looking for my people, quote unquote. Like, who are the people who understand me? Who are the people who've been through what I've been through? Who are the people who, like, I can talk to, and they already get it. Like, the words are coming out of my mouth, and they already know what I'm gonna say because they're thinking it too.
Yeah.
It's a really cool thing, and there should be some dialogue, yeah, definitely, with other people who think other things, but it's really nice to come back to a group and be like, hey man, I wanted to talk to you about this thing that I was talking to somebody else about, and I wanted your opinion because I know you're very smart, and like, we think about things similarly, and I feel like maybe I was wrong, or maybe I was right, and I'm not sure. You know, like stuff like that. That's my experience with safe spaces. Like, you can be vulnerable and you can talk to people who know stuff who are like you.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Well, I personally have fandom backgrounds in high school when I was a huge Sculpey for a long while. And I got heavily involved in the fandom community and awards and things, and most of my friends today are from that fandom. Now, what I will say is, on the one hand, it was, for the most part, a safe space. It was a community of women. It wasn't a community of women of color, it was a community of women. At the time, I was one of the youngest. But I definitely felt safe to express my thoughts and opinions and express my own puberty. So that kind of opened the door for me. And I wasn't involved for another kind for a very long time, so recently with The Walking Dead. And I find that the Michelle fandom is, for the most part, very welcoming, very, that is a community of, for the most part, women of color, but there are a few gay white males, there are white females, there's this kind of a mix, but it is predominantly black women. So I think in terms of what the definition of a safe space is, we should also consider, who we feel safe with. And I felt safe with the rest of people. Being able to express myself in my thoughts, and I've had a lot of people back me up when things did get kind of rough. So, those are kind of my experiences. I've been in Canada for a long time. I want to date myself, so I won't do another.
So I just wanted to say that I basically grew up in a comic book store. I just want to say that I basically grew up in a comic book store. My dad introduced me to comics when I was very young. He was always interested in them, and it's something that he wanted to share with me. I'm half Puerto Rican, but I don't, right? But I don't, what has become a new term, present as Hispanic. And it has always been a point of contention growing up because in those comic book stores at those times, this was probably 15 years ago, there weren't women and there weren't people of color. So the majority of my friends were Caucasian males, and my gender and my Puerto Rican culture became a running joke because they thought that since I was their friend, it was okay. And I didn't really have, there wasn't a safe space at that time. There was nobody that I could really turn to. So it became a matter of fighting ignorance with education and really becoming outspoken. And there were times when I did get really tired and would avoid saying my maiden name when I introduced myself to people because the constant stream of questions. Now, your last name's not Diaz, but I see your driver's license.
Sometimes it's just easier.
You speak in Tagalog so I can confirm.
On top of trying to prove myself as a comic book fan and constantly having people explain to me things that I had already read 10 issues ago.
Yeah.
It did become disheartening, but I think that what I really took away from that was I personally don't really believe in the concept of safe spaces because I feel that it creates a divide and doesn't educate the ignorant. I feel like the best way to do that is what Vanessa said, is to really look at universal safe spaces and really integrate everybody because that's the only way that you build bridges. That's what it says.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. I do. I understand that concept of, I'm someone who's very loud. I'm very loud. I'm someone very loud. I'm someone who's very outspoken. I talk a lot, which is why I'm standing there. So I talk a lot, but it does get tiring, I feel like, to tell people the same thing that you feel like they should know. There's this weird thing out in the world now called Google. Like, it's called
Tell me more about it.
Let me explain all about it. So when you have a question that you feel like you want to ask, like, well, Vanessa, as a lady or as a black person or whatever insensitive thing you want to ask me, like, how about you tell me, exactly what everyone who looks like you or is a lady or whatever thinks? Like, what does everyone who looks anything remotely like you, what do they think? I was like, you can get some statistics on Google, but I can give my own opinion. I feel like that is up to, I feel like that along with creating general safe spaces, as in places where we encourage people to mingle and interact and respect ideas, or respect the people and debate the idea rather than trying to tear the person down. I think we also need to encourage people to educate themselves because I don't know everything. It would be weird if I did, So I too have to go back and check my facts and learn new things and, figure shit out on my own person.
Are we not supposed to do that?
I don't know, I was trying to keep it kosher.
The question would be, what constitutes an unsafe space? Like, where is the line?
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a wonderful question.
I don't know if everyone heard you because you're
What
registered.
constitutes an unsafe space?
An unsafe space is where if I present an idea, like if I say Jean-Luc Picard is the best captain that ever was, that ever will be. If I present that idea, then the immediate response shouldn't be, oh, well, she only thinks that because she's a lady, or she only thinks that because, I tried to defend Captain Janeway one time because people were turning down clothes because you're a woman.
Janeway.
I was like, no, it's because I have good taste, whatever. So I personally shouldn't be attacked because of my ideas. That's what I think an unsafe space is, where my voice isn't allowed to be heard. Like, I'm not allowed, if a group of people are voicing opinions, I have to be quiet. That's not a safe space, and I'm gonna.
That sounds like an unsafe space for a lot of other people.
Yeah, it is unsafe for that. So to me, that is like the definitive of unsafe space. Anyone else?
I mean, there have been a lot of safe spaces popping up on Facebook for geek communities where people discuss things that frustrated them, or discuss things that they don't know how to approach. And I feel like that's also a safe space where you can go to people who sort of crowdsource ideas and vent out to people who feel you, that you can get that kind of feedback from people who understand what you're talking about. Because sometimes, that actually, a lot of the time, dialogue is awesome. You find out what other people are about, you find out why they're about that, and you learn things about yourself. But sometimes also, like, you want to get an idea across that affects you and affects a lot of other people, and you don't know how to get it across. There's a lot of other people also experiencing it, so you can go to that safe space where they exist and talk to them about it and see, what they might say, so you can better get the idea across. I mean, that's something that I know I've done with in Feminist Nerds, in Learners of Color, which are both Facebook groups that present safe spaces for people of color and disabilities. So I mean, that's just my 2 cents about what I think should go into a safe space and what some of the pros are there.
I have a question for the panel. Do you think that when you create a safe space or whatever you want, a community for whatever group, do you think sometimes they enforce exclusionary tactics. Because how do you, if I'm going to create a place, if I'm going to create the perfect world where everyone is, sunshine and rainbows, except, for the people that are playing. Just kidding. So if I want to create a community like that, if I want to create like, an organization, a LARP, a comic book store, whatever I'm doing, do you think that by that standard that it is appropriate to enforce or to use exclusionary tactics? Because I've seen in workers of color and other groups too that sometimes people will say, well, you're not allowed to say that because you're X, Y, and Z. I'm personally, I'm covered in purple because I'm a huge fan of Steven Universe.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anyone knows about that show or has heard anything about its fandom, but sometimes people are very particular about who they believe should be a part of that fandom. And I think that happens across fandoms. Yeah, I know, right? That's weird. They're like, oh, you can't.
It's a weird thing.
So there's a post on it, well, you can't you can't cosplay Amethyst unless you're black. But she's a purple character. So
It's quite simple. That's just the bottom line. And I'm a little something extra about me. I run 3 separate pages, and I'm an admin on the largest Bucky group on Facebook. So I think what we're really getting down to is this. There needs to be community guidelines. Not necessarily a safe space, but there needs to be community guidelines that are adhered to. I personally accept anyone who wants to join whatever. I don't really care who you are, what you look like, what you do. As long as you're respectful. On the page you can have a different opinion, but if you're going to be intolerant, if you're going to say something ignorant, then it's a one-strike rule. So I think people say you can't just like, I've been Black Wonder Woman, I've been Magnificent, which is my version of a Black Maleficent, because that's how I roll.
Yeah, bitch.
It's a fictional character. I've seen Mike Michonne's and they've been great. They do the hair, they do the sword and everything. It's very cool.
Don't forget Harley Quinn.
People who said, oh, you can't do that, you're not Black, or you can't do that, you're not white. Well, shut up. Yes, you can. Because if you're a fan and that's what you like and that's what you want to do, and as long as you do it in a way that looks good and makes sense, who cares? And if someone has a problem with it, I think we in the Geek community, especially we as women, we can't let people run roughshod over us. You have to, and I've faced a lot of opposition in my life, but and some people don't want to come across me. I'm a 6 foot tall Black woman, okay, whatever. But you can't let people tell you what to do. You gotta say, look, this is what it is. If you don't like it, you can go. There's the exit door right over there. And it's that simple. I mean, it's not that simple, but I'm saying, don't let them push you. Don't let them push you.
Yeah, here.
Right on.
Also, I need to know what that is to my
Yeah, have to get on that Buffy train.
Okay.
Please.
Let's see. Yeah. We kind of touched on it a little bit. What I do want to do before we open up the floor for questions, I want to just ask the panel, in the ideal perfect geek world, what would it look like? What is your happy place? Like, what is that for you? Anyone?
Are we starting anywhere particular?
Okay.
Hey audience, it's been a while since I talked. So I believe my ideal geek community would be completely inclusionary. Like, we accept everyone, we love everyone. That gender and race, sex, how you identify doesn't really mean anything as long as you're really pumped about The Flash. You're super into Steven Universe. You love Star Trek so much. We want to see that excitement. We want to see those battles and debates over episodes of Walking Dead, and we don't care about what you look like. That's the ideal universe for me, is there's no microaggressions, there's no, should you really be wearing that? That doesn't exist. It's gone. Poof. And it's beautiful. That would be my ideal place where there's no terrible sniping at each other. There's no backbiting, pitting women against one another, pitting different races against one another. Yes, that would be perfect.
I think my perfect geek universe would be one where you would actually have an open discourse without getting angry, making assumptions, assuming that you're being attacked, and really learn other people's viewpoints in an open and honest manner.
And respectful.
My ideal universe would first and foremost include Andrew Lincoln. Yes. I think if I could, if I had the power to do so, I would make people within the community, people who are afraid, people who don't necessarily express their opinions, more confident about doing that, more confident about who they are, more confident about their place and accepting of being a geek. It's not easy. It does draw criticism, and for a long time I was in the geek closet. So
You're out now.
I'm out now. I'm out. I've been out for a long time. But yeah, in my perfect world, you're not going to get rid of ignorant, hateful people. They're not going to go away. There's no way to eradicate them. It's just not going to happen. So my solution would be to empower those who are here and who are positive, and to carry on.
In the words of Bill and Ted, my ideal geek world would be a world where everyone was excellent to each other.
That's
And it would be a world where people would encourage creativity, because the geek community is a beautifully large creative community. Fans make these things that like you can't even. How did you come up with that, man? Like I can only imagine that. I can only draw that. How did you make that happen in real life? Wow. Wow, that's a really cool plotline that you came up with in your fanfic. And I would love for that to be encouraged with nothing about your race, nothing about your gender, nothing about your sexual preference holding you back. I would love for people not to be afraid to make things, and for people to not be afraid to put themselves out there because they belong to a certain heritage group, and because they belong to a certain ethnicity, because they belong to a certain sexual orientation, gender, what have you. I would love to just see all the great stuff this community can create without any barriers holding them back up. People standing in their way. I would love to see the discourse that we can create when everyone's opinion is valid, because everyone's a human being who has thoughts and has experiences. Maybe they're different because of what our races are, maybe they're different because of what our genders are, but they're still valid. Just because you're black, just because you're Puerto Rican, just because you're white, just because you're Korean, doesn't mean that your opinion isn't valid. You're not just saying that because of your race, because of your gender. You're saying that because you're a person who has things that they want to say. And I really like an ideal geek world for people to think like that, for people to appreciate each other for what they have to say, not what they seem to be.
Good job. That was really good.
We're gonna open up for questions. If I have any questions, I'm gonna just start talking about random stuff. So, so if you wanna just come, I guess, come to the mic
over there.
There's a mic.
Yeah.
So you just wanna come to the mic and say something.
It's like an actual thing.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
This question's for all of you. I'm sure you've all seen the trailers for the Ghostbusters movie, the newest one.
Yeah.
What is your views on the trailer itself and the negative responses to it?
I'm gonna go first because I watched Ghostbusters for the first time about 6 months ago. So I did not grow up with this movie. I don't have the cult following that a lot of people have. So when I saw it for the first time, I went, oh, it's a pretty good movie. I'm 25. This is a good movie. It didn't shape me as a person like it did for life. Sorry. I sniped you. I didn't mean to. That's me. But I don't have the same connection that a lot of people have to it. So I went, oh, it's a good movie. Bill Murray's cover is pretty funny.
And I've never really been, yeah,
Gotcha.
Just wait for the dust.
I didn't like it either.
You don't like anything.
I like a lot of stuff.
So when I saw the reboot with
I like Bill Murray. I didn't like the
comedians
movie.
that I legitimately very much enjoy because they speak more to me, not because they're women, but because they're more modern comedians and I'm a more modern person. I'm really looking forward to seeing the graphics updated. It's going to be great.
Looks really nice.
I did see the original Ghostbusters, and the second one's my favorite. When I saw the trailer for this one, maybe if I was like 3 to 5, it just didn't amuse me. I can't see spending my money on it. Maybe if someone else pays for it or it's on TV.
That's
I love Melissa McCarthy. I think she's hilarious. Kristen Wiig is pretty good too, and then the other two, I can't think of their names.
Kate McKinnon.
Yeah.
Leslie Jones.
Thank you. Yeah. I didn't understand why they. I don't really care because I don't plan to see it. I thought it was weird that they made the one token black a non-scientist. Like she's a bus driver. Yes. And then not only is she a bus driver, she doesn't even sound educated.
She's a bus driver?
She's an uneducated bus driver. Right? So
Why did
she
they do
at
that?
least sounds well read. Like she doesn't have to be a scientist, but she has great ideas. I'm not totally opposed to that, but I just didn't like the aesthetic of that. And the only thing that I can compare it to is that on the show Angel, they did it. Is anyone familiar with that?
Go on.
Yeah.
So we have Gunn, right, portrayed by J. August Richards. He was basically an orphaned homeless kid, but he ran his own gang, right? But he was a leader. He was an inventor. He was well spoken, and this is all before he got the law implanted into his head. So you have a character who can be not necessarily, have all of the degrees and credentials, but someone who is intelligent, and I don't think we're going to get that with Leslie in this film, and that's very unfortunate.
So I don't remember a time when I wasn't singing the Ghostbusters theme song, but I was a kid. So I'm a little bit on a different level. I'm not gonna lie to you, I haven't actually seen the whole trailer. I have this thing with remakes and things that are being turned into movies that were books or comic books that I enjoyed, where I try to go in fresh. I try to hear as little as I can as far as opinions on it. And as far as previews, because I want to see what it is, and I want to form my own opinion for myself. I have seen some stuff. I have seen who the comedians are. I've seen some images of what it's going to be. I've of course not been allowed to not hear people's opinions on it because everyone's talking about it, and I can't seem to avoid it. Yeah. But I'm super excited. I really liked Ghostbusters growing up. I feel like it was something that really was a big part of my childhood, and it's something I look back on fondly, and a lot of the jokes in it probably formed my sense of humor. And it's just something I'm looking forward to, that not only is that something that I enjoyed growing up, and now it's going to get new life in a new modern age, with new graphics, and new comedians, but hey, there's going to be a whole generation of kids that's Ghostbusters. Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm gonna be really quick about this one. As far as the preview, the first thing I thought of was Chris Hemsworth was really attractive with glasses.
Yes.
Something we did not know.
I
didn't know that Kevin was a lot like himself.
I did that. I just had to take that. That was what I got from that trailer.
Lost the whole thing.
There we go. There's women who also have something negative to say. I feel like, unfortunately, while it's good, backtrack. I feel like that we live in a world where everyone feels entitled to their own opinions. And you know what? They're right. They're allowed to have them. But I also feel like that we live in a world where people feel like not only are they entitled to their opinions, but you should really listen to them. If you don't, you're a horrible person. And I don't think that's true. So when someone has something negative to say, they tend to say it really loudly and a lot, repeatedly. And I feel like that, you have to, at first, I think there's two things you need to do. You need to ignore, the haters, viewpoint, and I think you have to continue on positive on a positive path. If I want to see the movie, it might be horrible, who knows? And then I'll talk about it if it's horrible, about something I don't like, or it might be wonderful, and I'll do the same with that thing, but I'm just waiting to see it. People are going to say something negative anyway. And because of the fact that they changed the cast to women, it's not really surprising me, because I love fanfic, and you know what, fanfic is great for gender swap, so whatever. I already read fanfic about that like 5 years ago. Thank you.
Thank you for that question.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I'm just gonna start talking about random stuff so I don't get.
There's just somebody standing up and back. He's about to sit
I was
down.
gonna say, as a feminazi and as a Ghostbusters fan from when I was a teenager, I was upset to an nth degree finding out they were turning all of my favorite guys into girls. And then I remembered Battlestar did that. And it turned out really well.
It was awesome.
So
Yeah, it was well done.
This couldn't, I mean, not really, but this could turn out really well.
Yeah, it has the potential to do great things. It really does.
Got somebody in mind.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. So I have an oddly formed question.
Okay.
What do you think about the separation for someone who were to cosplay as different race, like white female cosplaying Michonne, or me? I love Miles Morales. He's a fantastic gosh damn Spider-Man.
Yes, he is.
He's half black and half Hispanic, and I feel like if I were to try and cosplay him, I might be, no offense, attacked because I'm not fitting that character. What are your thoughts?
Okay, I have to speak on this. Like I said, I've been geeky since the beginning. And so a lot of the characters that I grew up with and a lot of the people that I loved didn't look like me. It's only recently I feel like they were doing a lot of representation in communities of color, like Kamala Khan. Yes! Right? Right? And we're getting so many wonderful characters. We just had Black Panther, who just stole that whole movie. Oh my God. The true Disney prince. I feel like I grew up admiring and finding things in common with a lot of characters that didn't look like me. And so that when I went to emulate them, the people accused me of being fake or not liking who I was. Rather than I find something admirable about this person, this is someone I admire as a hero, and then people would attack me because they were saying that I was betraying part of myself, which was dumb because you don't even know me. So I think that personally, I don't care what people cosplay as, what people dress up as, what people have on their walls of poster, who they say is their favorite. You're allowed to do that. I think the only thing that comes into contention is I would never try to, put way lighter foundation on and be like a chubby Buffy. That wouldn't be the thing I would do. I might get that cute red jacket from, Much More of a Feeling. I might sing the whole soundtrack. I might do that with a blonde wig and go about my day. You would figure out who I was, but I would know, So I feel like it's the same thing. If you want to wear the costume and, stay in the lines and live your whole life, go ahead, do it, live it, That's all. That's me.
I definitely co-sign on that. I think it's wonderful that, especially if you have a person of color who can touch a non-person of color, I think that's a beautiful thing. As long as you're not Rachel Dolezal your way through it. I think that's great. I would love to see an army of little white Michonnes running around. I think that's brilliant because that's saying that she's empowering them and it doesn't matter it crosses color barriers. So, I actually thought about it for a hot second because Angelina Jolie, she's wearing this really bright white makeup. And I said, what would be the equivalent of that for a black person? And I was like, man, forget it. I got these horns on, who gives a shit? So, yeah.
My ideas and my ideologies on cosplaying it's really super complicated. Do what makes you happy. Do what makes you happy. Miles Morales is a fantastic character. He has a lot of backstory that Peter Parker doesn't, a lot of the same struggles that Peter does not have. And just being a part of that and being able to go, oh, Spider-Man has the same issues I have. I live in is it Queens or the Bronx? My bad, Geek. Queens. Thank you, Geek audience. I live in Queens with my aunt as well. I can relate to these things. One of the issues that comes across with that is, like you said, with white shows running around, and if you cosplay Buffy, if you still had the clothes on, and you still like had that character going on, because when you feel like Buffy, you feel like you're the strongest person in the world, people are gonna know who you are. You don't have to like lighten or darken your skin, because then you're just kind of throwing away that credibility, sort of. Does anyone else know what I'm talking about? Okay, all right, cool. I got like 2 nods. That's all I need. That's it. That's what I have to say. Any questions?
We got a microphone.
Yeah.
I wanted to know how you guys handled it when a safe space becomes super competitive and then unsafe.
Okay,
So, when Vanessa introduced herself, she said that she was the co-creator of LARPers of Color. I'm the other co-creator of LARPers of Color. Hi, everyone. LARPers of Color was initially meant to be a safe space for people of color who LARPed. It has grown to so much more than that. There's almost 300 people a part of this group. And it's just general geekery. If you're not a person of color, you can enter. If you're not a woman, you can enter. We don't turn anyone away. And that's one of the things that a lot of people have an issue with, actually, is some people have wanted us to be exclusionary and go, white people can't come, you know how they are. Like, that's such a statement to me. I'm like, okay, that doesn't really read as much as with us trying to be as inclusionary as possible, with us trying to include as many people as possible. When that type of community turns toxic, which sometimes it can, when you're constantly trying to validate yourself, constantly trying to say, no, I exist, I have these opinions, I can be real with you guys, and people are just shooting you down, I no longer think that that's a safe space. I think that that's a place that you have to either remove yourself from or call out to the people in authority and go, please help me, I don't feel safe here anymore.
I spent a couple of years at a game that called itself a family game. And one of the things that they tried to push was that they were a safe space. They were a space where everybody could feel comfortable, and that environment got very, very toxic. To the point where it started to unsettle me mentally and really change my personality. It became very exclusionary and definitely did become a very, I don't want to use the term racist, but it definitely did become a very negative place and a very misogynistic place. And I think the best thing you can do in those situations, I tried so hard for years to fight it by talking through it and trying to change the people around me, but when you have a build-up like that, a frenzy, kind of the only thing you can do is back off and really try and find communities that are open and healthy.
Yeah.
It's okay to bail.
It's okay to bail.
It's okay.
You gotta go ahead and bail.
Well, the only reason why these places become unhealthy in the first place is because the admins are slacking. Like I said, I'm open to giving anyone and everyone a chance. But I do have a one-strike rule, and if you say something out of line, that's it, you're banned. You have to go find someplace else who will tolerate that because I'm fine. So those communities, they need to muscle up on their admins. They need to, really, it's time consuming. It's a job in itself going through comments and seeing things like that. But that's part of the job. If you're going to run a page or a group or a community, you have to shut things down when people get out of line. So that's definitely one of the things that I try to keep a close eye on. I'm doing a bad job of it on my personal Facebook page because there have been some really, but you can't do anything because it's family and it's friends and I just can't. I'm gonna just step back like homeless person. But in terms of my community pages, I keep a tight leash on that. So I make sure that my spaces do not become intolerant. Because I'm only intolerant of one thing, and that's ignorance.
So I know Rory can relate. I've never been in a toxic situation like Rory described, but I do know that when I go to safe spaces, there's always a risk for me. It's something that I'm always afraid of. Because of my past, I will not be accepted. And I will be told to just get out and not you have to realize is risk when you try to create, you try to come to a safe space, because some people think that that is part of what a safe space is, to exclude other people who you don't think fit. And it's something that I have gone to moderators about, I've gone to admins about, I've gone to staff about, in places that I've been that have been touting themselves to be safe spaces. And I know that a safe space is really a safe space when that is taken seriously. When the admin or the moderator or the staff or whatever that I've spoken to takes it seriously and addresses it. If that doesn't occur, then I've basically been told that that's a space that is not safe for me, and I will leave. If people leave safe places that are calling themselves safe, if enough people leave, then that should send a message that that place is not safe. And it should tell people that, you know, this is not a place that is safe no matter what it tells you. And that should encourage those people who have left to find places that are safe, identify them, and help those places to grow. That's what my experience has been.
All right, so we're 2 minutes over, so we talked a lot. Okay, all right.
Any other questions? Yeah, what's up? Yeah.
Well, we're 2 minutes over, so I get like one more to speed through.
All right, fight to the death.
Yeah, we'll
Speed up.
I just wanted to say I applaud you ladies for your panel. Really appreciate that. Second thing I want to say,
For those who can't hear him, he's saying, go ahead and do it.
Yeah, man.
Myself, I have a daughter that I'm here with.
Hey,
You cute.
I introduced her into comic books and anime at a very young age because that was my escape growing up on the West Coast. Other than bashing people dead and fighting. Also, her daughter, which is my granddaughter, is now in with us. So it's the three of us. Yeah, she was Pikachu yesterday. It's always been a thing for my granddaughter. She's 9, so she's looking for all these powerful women in every story or show she watches. She watches the old Xenas. Right now, she's on a big Ray kick because Ray kicked butt in the Star Wars movie. She's always looking for women with power.
Yeah.
And I'm pushing it. I'm pushing that because we really haven't had too much of that, and especially women of color. So she's having the thing now where she's really trying to find these women of color that set a certain kind of example for her. And I'm like, go ahead, you know.
tell her to look out for Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
She's
So I just wanted to say thank y'all for the panel.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. And thank you
Appreciate the appreciation.
to our entire audience. Thank you for coming out and listening to us black and wrong. We appreciate it. I guess we should go.
Just as a flat note, you know, this is sponsored with the Geek Initiative, which
Oh, yeah, the Geek Initiative.
The Geek Initiative, check them out. If you like what we're talking about, then probably read more stuff like what we're talking about there.
Cool. All right, it's been awesome. Thank you so much.